Have you ever noticed how strange it feels to wake up in the middle of the night, as if the whole world is asleep and you are alone with the silence? The clock shows 3:47 a.m. Outside, it's dark and seemingly calm, but inside there's anxiety, restless thoughts, a sense that your body is asking for something. Many people shrug it off. It happens, I just couldn't sleep. But in my experience, when a person regularly wakes up before 4 a.m., it is not a coincidence. It is a signal, quiet but very serious, from the body and the mind. I am a physician with more than 30 years of experience, and I have seen thousands of such cases. People came to me tired, irritable, yet outwardly healthy. And very often, everything began with these early awakenings. They didn't attach any importance to them, and that was a mistake. Because it is precisely during these hours that the body and brain undergo their deepest processes of recovery, detoxification, and hormonal regulation. When this process is interrupted, a person is, in a sense, pulled out of their own internal repair. Believe me, what I am about to share today can quite literally extend your life. And I do not say this for dramatic effect. There are 5 habits, 5 simple but fatal mistakes that people make when they wake up very early in the morning. Unfortunately, these mistakes accelerate aging, undermine the heart, memory, and nervous system. And most importantly, they can be avoided. When I first realized this, I was genuinely shocked. One of my patients, an elderly man, woke up every day at 3:30 a.m. He even considered it an advantage. "I'm a morning person," he said. "I get everything done." But over time, he developed blood pressure spikes, insomnia, anxiety, and even a loss of joy in life. Only when we carefully examined his morning habits did everything become clear. He was doing exactly what millions of people do every day without realizing that it was quietly destroying them from the inside. Now let me tell you something many people underestimate. Early awakening is not always an enemy. Sometimes it is a chance to hear your body, to understand what it lacks. But if this signal is ignored, it turns into an alarm. That is why it is important not just to sleep it off or brush it aside, but to understand which habits make mornings destructive. Please don't rush to turn this video off, because the most important point will come at the end. There I will explain one simple detail that even doctors often overlook. This knowledge changed the way many of my patients approach their mornings, and for some of them, normal sleep rhythms returned without medication. Now think for a moment. When you wake up before 4 a.m., what do you feel? Calm? Anxiety? The urge to act? Or emptiness? All of these are clues from your body. And if you learn to hear them, you can not only improve your sleep, but also extend your life. I will share stories, observations, and advice tested by time. Nothing I say is accidental. Everything is directly connected to your heart, nervous system, and even the way you age. So stay with me until the end, because in the final part 1 we'll share something I usually say only to my patients in private, something that can restore energy, calmness, and the joy of waking up. With age, our body becomes more sensitive, not physically but in perception. It no longer shouts, as it did in youth when something was wrong. It whispers, and one of those whispered warnings is early awakening. I have often noticed that a person may appear perfectly healthy. Tests are normal, blood pressure is acceptable. Yet every night they open their eyes at 3:40, as if by an alarm clock. And if you ask them when they last truly rested emotionally, they hesitate, unable to answer. Sleep is a mirror of inner calm. It reflects not only physical fatigue, but also accumulated emotions, anxiety, resentment, overexertion. After the age of 50, the boundary between physical and emotional health becomes especially thin. Even mild stress, unspoken worries, or concern for loved ones can trigger nighttime awakenings. The body cannot relax if the mind remains alert. I remember one patient, a woman aged 62. She told me, "Doctor, I fall asleep normally, but as soon as the clock shows 4, my eyes open, as if someone is calling me." We searched for a physiological cause for a long time, but eventually I understood. The issue was her lifestyle. She lived in constant tension, trying to control everything and help everyone, even when she herself was exhausted. Her body simply could not trust rest. By waking her, it was checking, is everything under control? When we stopped focusing on pills and started working with her attitude toward herself, her sleep gradually returned. Please, I sincerely ask you, do not ignore these signals. When you wake up early, your body is often saying, I need attention. I need recovery. This is not weakness. It is the wisdom of a body trying to reach us. There are also physiological factors. After 50 to 60 years of age, melatonin production decreases. The body becomes more sensitive to noise, light, blood sugar fluctuations, and blood pressure changes. Even mild hunger or temperature changes can cause awakening. Yet the main cause is often not the body, but the mind. When a person goes to bed anxious, they are not truly resting. They're simply closing their eyes while the brain keeps working. I often compare this to a computer that appears shut down, but internal processes are still running. In the morning, we wonder why there is no energy, why the heart beats faster, why the mood feels muted. The answer is simple. The brain did not reboot. Over time, this accelerates neuronal aging, damages memory and concentration, and even affects skin and metabolism. That is why early awakening should never be dismissed as just age. It is not a normal part of aging. It is a signal that something needs to change. And most often, the solution is not medication, but morning habits. What you do in the first minutes after waking determines whether the day gives you energy or takes it away. Many people make the same mistakes, grabbing the phone, drinking coffee on an empty stomach, mentally returning to worries, instead of giving the body a gentle transition from sleep to wakefulness. Then they wonder why the whole day feels foggy. I will explain how to change this. It begins with simple steps, but conscious ones. After 60, it is not enough to simply sleep. You must recover, not just wake up, but awaken with benefit. In my experience, when a person starts the day correctly, even short sleep becomes restorative. The heart works more calmly, blood pressure stabilizes, and thoughts become clearer. When mornings are filled with haste, irritation, or anxiety, the entire day becomes a hostage to that state. The wisdom of mature age lies in learning to listen to yourself, not to fight sleep, but to understand it, not to rush the morning, but to live it, because in these quiet hours lies the key to longevity. Next, I will talk about the first of 5 morning mistakes that almost everyone makes, even those who consider themselves healthy. This mistake disrupts internal rhythms and accelerates aging. The first and most dangerous mistake is jumping out of bed and grabbing your phone. At first glance, it seems harmless, checking the time, the news, messages. But at that very moment, you deprive yourself of the very purpose of sleep, internal restoration. In my experience, this is one of the most destructive habits. Your body has not fully awakened yet. The brain is still in slow-wave phases, where fine hormonal regulation occurs, especially cortisol, the hormone that helps us transition into the day. If you suddenly expose yourself to bright light, information, and emotional stimuli, it is like hitting the nervous system with an electric shock. I'm not exaggerating. Several years ago, I observed a 68-year-old man who complained of anxiety, dizziness, and constant fatigue. Medical tests showed no serious pathology. Then I asked him to record his first 10 minutes every morning. What did we discover? He opened his eyes at 3:30 a.m. and immediately reached for his phone. News, messengers, social media, all while lying in the dark. The brain received an overwhelming flow of stimuli, while the body remained immobile. The result: disrupted circadian rhythms, blood pressure fluctuations, and persistent anxiety. If you wake up before 4 a.m. and your first action is reaching for your phone, you deprive yourself of the calm that should restore you. It is like plucking a bud just before it blooms. What should you do instead? When you wake up, do not move immediately. Lie still with your eyes closed. Listen to your breathing. Feel your chest rise and fall gently. This is not meditation or a technique. It is a signal to the brain. Everything is safe. You can wake up calmly. After a minute, open your eyes, and look into the darkness or early dawn without a screen. Let your eyes meet natural light, however dim. Only then sit up, stretch, and drink a little water. These may seem like small things, but in these first 5 minutes, the tone of your entire day is set. I sincerely urge you, for 1 week, do not touch your phone for the first 20 minutes after waking. Replace it with silence, gentle breathing, and a few sips of water. Your body will thank you. Patients often ask, "Doctor, what difference can 20 minutes make?" 2 weeks later, they return and say, "For the first time in years, I woke up with a sense of peace." This works not because it is fashionable, but because the human body is a living system that needs a gentle awakening, not an information assault. Morning is not the start of the day. It is the continuation of the night, a transitional phase where body and mind are still connected to a deep internal source of strength. If you bring noise and stress into this moment, you lose contact with that energy. So if you wake up early, don't rush. Ask yourself, why did I wake up now? What is my body trying to tell me? Sometimes the answer is simple. The sleep cycle is complete. Other times, it is a sign of unrest. In both cases, you can help by not interfering. Now pay attention. The next mistake is just as dangerous. It seems useful, even correct, but it accelerates wear on the heart and blood vessels, especially after 50. Many believe it gives them energy, but in reality, it destroys morning balance. And I will explain this in the second recommendation. Another common mistake among those who wake up before 4 a.m. is immediately starting the day, usually with coffee. Since I'm awake, I'll get up, drink coffee, and be productive, people think. This is the second major trap. Drinking coffee or engaging in activity immediately after early awakening is a serious blow to the heart and nervous system. When you wake up at 3 to 4 a.m., cortisol levels have not yet reached their natural morning peak. The body is still in recovery mode. By stimulating it with caffeine or activity, you force the heart to work at full speed before it is ready, like revving an engine before the oil has warmed. In people over 50, coffee on an empty stomach often leads to blood pressure spikes, arrhythmias, heartburn, anxiety, and accelerated vascular aging. I have seen dozens of patients whose early awakenings were followed by weakness or palpitations, and almost always coffee was involved. I remember a 71-year-old woman, active, well-groomed, energetic. She said, "Doctor, I can't live without my morning coffee." But she woke every day around 4 with anxiety. When we gradually removed early coffee and replaced it with warm water and a few drops of lemon, the anxiety disappeared. Blood pressure stabilized. She said mornings felt soft again. Here is what many underestimate. The body does not need stimulation in the morning. It needs harmonization. It needs to wake gently, not be forced awake. Water, movement, and breath are the best tools. A few slow breaths, gentle stretching, warmth. This wakes the heart without stress. I often recommend this ritual. After waking, drink a glass of warm water, not cold, not hot. Sit quietly for 1 minute. Do not rush your thoughts. Then begin the day with light movement or breathing. People who start mornings this way live longer and feel better. Their hearts are steadier, moods more stable, minds clearer. Yes, changing habits is difficult. For many, coffee is comfort. But delay it for just 1 week, and you will feel gratitude from your body. If you wake early, stay with the silence. Do not run from it. The silence between 3 and 4 is special. It contains something we often lose, peace. And it is this peace that extends life because it restores the heart. But there is one more point that almost no one thinks about. It has nothing to do with what we do in the morning, but everything to do with what we feel in the morning. And this is where the third mistake hides, the most insidious one. It has nothing to do with coffee or phones. It lies in a single inner state that slowly and quietly destroys a person from within. I will talk about it in this part because I see it again and again in people who have lost their taste for life. And if you recognize yourself here, don't be afraid. Everything can be changed. The most important thing is to hear what is happening inside you. Do you know what the most destructive morning mistake is? Not coffee, not the phone. not even lack of sleep. It is starting the morning with anxiety, with a heavy thought, with an inner dialogue against yourself. This is what I see most often in people over 50, especially those who have experienced loss, exhaustion, or loneliness. They wake up before dawn, and their fears wake up with them. What if it doesn't work again? What's the point anymore? The day hasn't even begun, and inside there is already a quiet voice of fatigue. In my experience, it is this inner dialogue that steals years of life. Not illness, not work stress, but the constant, I can't cope anymore. I'm not the same. It's too late. These thoughts are subtle, but like invisible rust, they corrode the soul, weaken the body, and burden the heart. And when a person wakes up with this background, the entire organism reacts. The pulse quickens, blood pressure rises, hormonal balance is disrupted. Once I spoke with a man who was 74 years old. He said, "Doctor, I wake up at 3 in the morning and can't fall back asleep. I keep thinking about my past, what I didn't do, whom I hurt, what I didn't manage to finish." I asked him, "Have you ever, even once, thought in the morning not about what you lost, but about what you still have?" He fell silent. After a few seconds, he said, "Never." We started with something very small. I asked him that every morning when he woke up, he simply named 3 things he was grateful for. It didn't matter what: a glass of water, a new day, his daughter's voice. 2 weeks later, he called me and said, "Doctor, I'm sleeping longer now. And for the first time in many years, I'm not afraid of the night." Believe me, gratitude is not a psychological trick. It is the biochemistry of the soul. When you feel gratitude, your brain releases serotonin and dopamine, hormones of calm and well-being. The heart beats more evenly, blood pressure decreases, and the brain receives a clear signal: life is safe. And this sense of safety is the true key to longevity. That is why I sincerely ask you, do not start your morning with anxiety. Even if you wake up early and your heart feels heavy, don't rush to think. Just breathe. Feel that you are alive. Place your hand on your heart and say, "I am grateful for this day." This is not an empty phrase. It is an act of inner support that literally rewires your nervous system. Another mistake is searching for meaning outside yourself. Many people, especially in later years, wake up and immediately disappear into worries, children, work, illness, daily problems. They live for everyone except themselves. But morning is the moment when you must live at least 5 minutes for yourself. Sit in silence. Think not about plans, but about feelings. This is not selfishness. This is care for inner balance, without which it is impossible to be either useful or happy. When you start the morning with gratitude, calm, and attention to yourself, you activate the body's self-healing mechanisms. And when the morning begins with anxiety, the body receives the command, danger. It then lives the entire day in defensive mode. This is how a person ages faster than their years. This mistake is especially insidious because it is invisible. No one notices how, with each morning, the heart grows heavier, thoughts darker, and the body tires more quickly. That is why I want to say this clearly. Do not postpone change. Start tomorrow. Do not try to fix everything at once. Just pay attention to your first thoughts after waking. If you notice anxiety, replace it with breathing. Replace it with the word "thank you." Let this be your first action of the day. This simple habit ties together everything we have talked about before. A gentle awakening without a phone, avoiding coffee on an empty stomach, and attention to your inner state. These are 3 steps that restore balance to the body and strength to the soul. And now, after we have gone through these important morning mistakes, it is time to speak about the most important thing, something I usually share only privately with my patients. Something that not only extends life, but makes it full, light, and calm. And now, the most important part, what I promised at the very beginning. Something that may change how you see mornings and life itself. Since you stayed until the end, I want you to simply exhale. Allow yourself to feel calm, because you have already taken an important step. You did not scroll past. You wanted to understand yourself, your body, your morning. And this is true mature wisdom. Not fighting, but becoming aware. Not rushing, but listening. Let's gently summarize. We discussed 3 simple, yet profound principles that determine the quality of your morning. And, believe me, the length of your life. First, do not grab your phone. Let the first minutes after waking belong to you, not to the world. Let your eyes meet light, not a screen. Wake the brain gently, and it will reward you with calm and clarity. Second, do not begin the day with coffee and haste. Let the heart warm up, and let the body remember that it is alive. Water, silence, light movement. This is enough to activate the rhythms that protect you from aging and exhaustion. Third, do not allow anxiety into your morning. Let gratitude be your first thought. Let breathing be your anchor, not the news feed. Even the simplest thank you can become your protection for the entire day. These 3 steps may seem insignificant, but they restore harmony between body, mind, and heart. They return what we often lose with age, inner peace. And there is one more thing I want to share, a small bonus I give my patients at the end of every consultation. It is a simple technique you could do right in bed. If you wake up earlier than you want, close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. On each inhale, silently say, "I accept this day." On each exhale, I release anxiety. After the 3rd exhale, place your hand on your heart and simply say thank you. It doesn't matter for what, for life, for breath, for the ability to feel. You'll be surprised how quickly the body responds. Breathing becomes steadier, the pulse softer, thoughts lighter. This is your ritual of harmony. It requires no effort, yet gradually reshapes everything: the nervous system, mood, even hormonal balance. In my experience, those who practice this for just 1 week begin to sleep more peacefully, wake up later, and feel as if there is more light in their lives. Take care of yourself. Your time is priceless at any age. Do not rush through your days. Live them with gratitude. Let every morning be not the start of a race, but a moment of silence in which strength is born. I know how difficult change can be, especially after 50, when life seems already set. But maturity gives us an advantage. We finally know how to listen. If you heard something familiar in these words, it means you're already on the right path. Let your day begin gently. Let your heart beat calmly. Let your body wake, not from anxiety, but from light. And if you remember even one piece of advice from this video, please share it with those you love. Show it to your parents, friends, to those who also wake up too early and think it's just coincidence. And now, a small but important request. Write in the comments which advice resonated most with you: silence, water, or gratitude. And subscribe so you don't miss future conversations about preserving health, wisdom, and harmony after 50. Because every new day is not just another day. It is a chance to begin life a little calmer, a little warmer, a little wiser. Take care of yourself. And remember, even small steps can change your life for the better.